Hello guys, welcome back to C Fashion Academy. As you can see, we have a new video. This is what notched lapel collar. So many of us have disturbed me a lot. C Fashion, please post this video. So today I've posted it. So please, I want you to make sure you focus and watch to the end. If you're new to my channel, please make sure you subscribe. And if you love this video, please make sure you give us a thumbs up. So please, I want you to make sure you do focus and watch to the end. Okay guys, as you can see, after you're done cutting, next thing you are going to be doing is to use your interfacing. As you can see, I actually use a soft gum stay. This is what I use. You can also use different types of gum stays. Okay, now next thing you're going to do is to make sure you do you sew out the seams, the dart part. As you can see, what I used here is a princess dart. So make sure you sew it out with ½ inch. As you can see on your screen, this is how you're going to sew it. Are you seeing it? Sew this side and also do the same thing on this very side. Please, while sewing it, be very much careful so as not to make mistake. As you guys can see, we are done sewing it out. Now please, whatever you do on the material is the same thing you do on the lining. Now there is this important part I need to tell you. As you can see the lining, you can see this center front is the material that is there. The reason is because, as you can see, when we flip this thing to show the lapel, the original material will be showing. So any material you want to use or you want to show at your lapel, that is what you are going to cut that center front of the lining with. Please, I want you to really know this. Okay, so next thing you are going to do is to mark out where your wet pocket is going to be. As you can see, this is where my own wet pocket is going to be, which is your waistline. Add 1 inch to it. Let's say, example, your waistline is 17. That means your pocket line is going to be 18 inches. Okay, so as you can see, I've actually marked the line. So next thing I'm going to do is remember my overlapping, which is 1 inch. That is what I've just marked now. As you can see, 1 inch. Then next thing you're going to mark is 2 inches. As you can see, that is what I did. Please know this. After marking out your 1 inch for this thing, mark 2 inches. Then from there, the width of the pocket is 5 inches, as you can see. Okay, so after we are done doing that, next thing we are going to do is to divide the 5 inches by 2. This is to get the middle part of the wet pocket. So please, if you've not watched the cutting video, make sure you check it out in the description box. Check it out, see the link there and click on it to watch it. It will be very, very important you watch it. Okay guys, as you can see, so next thing we are going to be doing, we are still on the production of the wet pocket. Okay, so please, I don't want you to forget how we got this particular pocket length and everything. Please don't forget it. Make sure you watch it and watch it again so as to understand. Okay, remember what we did was 1 inch, after 1 inch, 2 inches, then from there to 5 inches, which is the wet pocket width. Okay, so next thing, like I said, do the same thing on the other side of your jacket. Do the same thing on the other side of your jacket. Exactly the same thing. This is how I actually duplicate it. Are you seeing it? Take this one, place exactly opposite to the other one. Are you seeing it? Front facing front. So from there, you do you open it up, you see where this line goes, and you do mark it out. This will help you to get the exact point on the other part. Do this thing on this side and do the same thing on the other side. So please, I want you to know that anything you are doing on your material, do it on your lining, not excluding the wet pocket. Please, excluding the wet pocket. But if you still want to put wet pocket on your lining, you can as well do that. Okay, now after we are done, we are going to be cutting out the pocket pieces for the pocket. Okay, so as you can see, the width is 7 inches. Mark it out while the length is 14 inches. So make sure you cut it out. After cutting it out, divide it into 2. That is for the left and the right wet pocket. So please, I also want you, next thing we are going to be doing is we are going to be ironing it out, folding it into 2. This is to get the middle part. Please, you can as well cut it off or still continue this way that I'm doing it. Okay, so make sure you separate both of them, place them side by side. Now get your interfacing, whether soft or hard, whichever one you want to use. Now cut out 2 inches. Take it and iron at the middle part, as you can see on your screen. Do exactly what I'm doing here now. Okay, so after you are done, make sure you cut it off. As you can see, it is ready. Okay, so I also want you to do something. I also want you to, at that same middle point, as you can see, make sure you take one iron to get the middle point again. Okay, take your iron and iron it out. Like I said, you can cut it out into 2, but for the sake of this tutorial, that's why I'm doing it like this. Now after ironing it out like this, fold it again just to get the middle part of the what wet pocket. Okay, please, whatever you do on this is exactly what you're going to do on the other part. Please, I also have a video on how to properly make a wet pocket. This one is specially on what wet pocket. You can also check it out in the link, description link. Make sure you watch it because that one really explains wet pocket in details. As you can see, this middle part, make sure it's what fixing the middle part on the what material you marked. Are you seeing it? Okay, make sure it's exactly on that line. Now after you are done, take your pin and hold it so that it will not shift. Okay, carefully do it, please. Carefully do it so as not to make a mistake. Whatever you do on this side is exactly the same thing you do on the other side. Now as you can see, take your pen and mark out that center so that it will be so visible. Okay, now next thing you're going to be doing from the center mark out 1/4 inch on both sides. This is to do what? Form the what pocket. Okay, but before that, mark out what 2.5 from this particular part on this side, then mark out 2.5. This both 2.5 forms the what 5 inches we prepared for our what wet pocket. Please, I want you to know that. Okay, so after you are done marking it out, next thing you're going to do is what? From this other part, as you can see, mark out what 1/4 inch on both sides. This enables us to what? To form the block for the what wet pocket. Please guys, I want you to focus. Make sure you watch this video to the end. This video, so many people requested for it. It was not easy for me to prepare, seriously, because I had some difficulties while preparing. That's why I did not post both of them together. Okay, so take your rule and do what? Rule in order to form the what? Wet pocket block. So please guys, if you also appreciate this work, please make sure you give us a thumbs up. Show your appreciation. This video is not easy for us making it all the time for you guys. Please show your appreciation. It helps us a lot. Okay, please, I want you to sew from here. Are you seeing it from here to this side? Please make sure you tack on both sides. Are you seeing it? Tack there, then sew from there to make sure you tack. Make sure you get it accurately, please. As you can see, that is what we are actually doing. Make sure you tack back stitch so as not to make. Please make sure you don't cross that line. If you cross that line, your wet pocket is going to change. I mean, the shape is not going to come out very well. Please do the same thing on the other side. As you can see, make sure you back stitch. Okay, please do the same thing on this very other side. Please, I want you to know that whatever you do on this side is the same thing you do on the other side. So after we are done, make sure you cut off your threads. Next thing we are going to do is to do what? We are going to open the center. Now this is how you open the center. You seeing it? Okay, now I have this cutting method. Please make sure you cut exactly the way I am doing it now. Now put your scissors, make sure you cut. Please make sure you don't cut all through. When you reach at a particular point, make sure you stop and do what? Draw a triangle, making sure that it's stopping at the edge where that thread is stopping. Please don't overcut it, else your wet pocket is not going to come out very well. Do the same thing on this very side, and even on the other side you do exactly the same thing, as you can see. Okay, also place your scissors on this very side, cut, and make sure you don't overcut, please. It is very, very important. In fact, if you ask me, the wet pocket comes out immediately after you finish cutting out this very part, because whatever you do on this very part determines how your wet pocket is going to be. Please, like I said, we have a comprehensive tutorial on wet pockets. So next thing we are going to do is to do, make sure you take your scissors, as you can see here, cut it out. Make sure you divide it. As you can see, divide it. Okay, divide it. Make sure you do the same thing on the other side. This is to tell you that initially you can also divide both of them. Even before placing it, you can place both of them separate. Now make sure you turn it out. As you can see the way I'm turning it, make sure you turn it out. Do the same thing on the other side. Please, what we are doing, we are not doing a double wet pocket. We are just doing a single wet pocket. That is, we'll be forming the wet pocket from the one at the damp part. Okay, as you can see, we are done turning it. So now we are going to do what? Iron it out. Let's go to the ironing table and do the ironing. Okay, just take your time. Make sure you work on it. Make sure it comes out neatly. Okay, so now we are on the ironing table. Take your iron and do what? Iron it out first so that everywhere will relax. Now, this is the damp part. Are you seeing it? Make sure you fold it, making sure that this one is extending over to the what? The upper part. Please make sure you place it very well. Draw the front a little so as to make sure that this is reaching at the very edge. Okay, then you do what? Take your iron and they iron it out very well. Please remember, this web pocket really needs precision. You have to be precise while doing this web pocket. Okay, now take down the upper part and make sure you iron out so as to relax everything. So you can see what my interfacing is doing is gumming the material. Okay, now iron it out, guys. Okay, guys, after we are done, let's turn the front. As you can see, now you can see that triangle something. You'll see what we are going to do to that stuff. Okay, so let's turn it out. As you can see, that triangle part at the edge. Now look at it very well. We are going to be putting it inside. As you can see, this triangle, we are going to be putting it inside on both sides. Make sure you put it, use your scissors and put it inside. As you can see, we've actually done that. Now take your iron and iron out the front part so as the web pocket to retain its shape. As you can see, that is what we are doing. Now see that triangle something now. Are you seeing it? Okay. See it here. So we are going to be sewing it down. We are going to be sewing it out. Okay. Okay, guys. Like I said, that we are going to be sewing it out so as to hold the web pocket very, very well. But before that, there's something we need to do. Take your hemming gum, put it double, and put it under here. Are you seeing it? You can actually make use of hemming gum, or you do what? You sew it out. But for the sake of this tutorial, I want to make it simple for all of us. Make sure you do what? Gum it out, or you sew it out. Okay, now take your scissors and do what? Iron. No, take your iron and do what? Iron it out. As you can see, so now we are going to be doing what? Still ironing it out, making sure that it relaxes very well. You know, it is very, very important to know how to do what? Iron. So next thing we'll be doing is what? As you can see, now we are going to be sewing down these very parts. Just sew it, just tack it, go through and fro. Are you seeing it? Thank you. Go to and fro. That's what you do. Please make sure you don't enter inside. So exactly on the what? Triangle. Make sure you don't enter inside the what? Web pocket. Do the same thing on this very side. So you can see this one is gumming, so you have to what? Ungum it. As you can see, now sew. Are you seeing it? Tack it out. So after you are done, make sure you do what? You close the pocket. As you can see, that's what I'm actually doing now. Okay, so now make sure you cut off the excess. Whether you overlock, whether you weave or you don't weave, it doesn't really matter because this is actually going to have a lining covering it. As you can see, we are done sewing the wet pocket. Please, however you do this wet pocket, do the same thing on the other part. As you can see, we are done producing both of them. Okay. So now next thing we'll be doing is what? We are going to be doing what? Marking out our measurement so as to do what? Couple the what? Jacket. Yes, that is what we'll be doing. We are going to be coupling the what? The jacket. Please remember what we are sewing here is what? Inner sewing. You are not going to see any stitch from the back, even from the lining. So we are going to be sewing the material separate, and we are also going to be sewing the what? The lining separate as a complete cloth. Okay, as you can see, mark out your what? The back allowance, which is what? 1 inch. Okay. After marking it out, take your rule and do what? Draw straight. Because please, I want you to know that I'm using the back for my what? Measurement, because sometimes using the front confuses people, you know. So make sure you mark it out. After doing that, please mark out your what? The chest length or bust length. As you can see, also mark out your what? Your waist length also. Then make sure you put your what? Circumference. As you can see, I'm putting my measurement here. So please, while putting your measurement, make sure you give a little allowance because the jacket doesn't need to be what? Too tight, especially on your waist region, please. Okay, so mark it out, guys. This is also the same. You do the same thing on the what? The waist. Please make sure you mark out your measurements very well. Make sure you don't make mistake because it will really affect you. Okay, mark out. Then also go to the hip side. Make sure you also mark out the measurements. This is what? Your hip divided by 4. Take it and what? Mark out. I know that all of us know how to do this. So after you are done doing that, take your chalk and do what? Mark it out. Now I'm going to be teaching you the simplest method of what? Transferring measurements. Now look at it. Take your pin and place exactly on those lines. Are you seeing it? pin it, pin it, pin it. Then after you are done doing that, oh my god, please make sure you turn it. Yes, when you turn it out, you see the pin on this very side. Now take your chalk and do what? Trace it back. This method enables you get a perfect measurement. Do you understand? Okay. So after we are done, we are going to be what? Sewing out the back center. Please remember, whatever you do on the material, do the same thing on the lining. Okay, so on pin now, let's go to the machine and sew it out. We are going to be sewing the center and we are going to be sewing the side. That is what we are actually going to be doing now. As you can see, we are done sewing the center. We are still going to do what? Open it up, go to the ironing table and iron it. Okay, so after we are done doing that, then we sew out the two sides. Please, whatever you do on the material, make sure you do the same thing on the lining. Guys, make sure you keep watching because it's very, very important you watch this to the end, else you might miss some important tips and you start asking me in the comment section. As you can see, we are still coupling the side. Okay, make sure you do that very well. Then after you do take your iron and iron it out. So you can see that's what I'm actually doing now. Iron it out. Make sure it comes out very, very well. As you can see, we are almost done. Oh my god, we are done. Now, make sure you cross-check your measurement because you still have the opportunity now to work on it if anything is wrong. Else, when you finish closing it, it's very, very stressful to work on a cloth you made like that. So, if the measurement is okay, you can proceed. If it is not okay, you can actually adjust, amend it now. Okay, so next thing we'll be doing is what? We are going to be coupling together with our lining. As you can see, this is our lining. Please, I also want you to still remember the center front of the lining. Are you seeing it? It's coming with the exact material, not the lining. This is to enable the material show whenever you do turn and iron your lapel. So take your pin and place it. Make sure you place it very, very well. Please, it is very important you place it very well because we are going to be sewing round now. As you can see, we are going to be sewing with 1/2 inch or 1/4 inch, depending on whichever one you want to use. As you can see, that is what I'm actually doing. This is what I'll be sewing with. Okay, as you can see, I'll be sewing with 1/4 inch. Me personally, I like making use of 1/4 inch instead of 1/2 inch. Okay, as you can see, this very side, we are also going to sew this very side. Now, you see it, 2 inches. Okay, what I'm actually using here now is 1.5. As you can see, it just depends. You can use 2 inches or 1.5. Are you seeing it? So from here to here, yes, and stop. Do the same thing on the other side. Now we are going to be sewing. There is this technique I usually apply. Sometimes I use hemming gum to sew. As you can see, that is what I'm actually doing now. This is to enable, after I finish sewing, when I'm ironing, this particular lining to stay calm very well, so that it will not be coming out from the back. Please, there are also other methods of making the lining not come out from the back, but for the sake of this tutorial, I'll be making use of this method because I think it's very simple for my students. I think this life is gradual. We learn things gradually. We don't learn everything at the same time. So you can see we are done sewing it out. See our hemming gum. Now, see, look at this place. Are you seeing it? The 1.5 inch or 2 inches, depending on whichever one you want to use. Are you seeing it? Make sure you notch it out. Are you seeing it? Notch it out. Do the same thing on the other side. Make sure you also do notch it out. Now, look at it. Are you seeing it? We sew from here to here. Now, notch it out. Okay, notch it out. Okay, this notching that helps when we are turning it now, you see it will come out very, very well. As you can see, we are done turning it, so we are now doing we are ironing it out. So make sure you iron carefully, please. Make sure you iron carefully. Regulate the temperature of your iron. As you can see, I'm using material to place on top of my dress because I don't want the iron to mess up my work, because I actually worked hard to get this work up to this level. Please, guys. Okay, so as you can see, after you are done ironing, now we'll be preparing the collar. As you can see, I'm using another material. Like I told you guys, we went through a lot of stress. Okay, so next thing we'll be doing is as you can see, we'll be measuring the neck. But looking at it, you see that the neck, you can see that 2 inches or 1.5 inches. Are you seeing it? Now look at it very well. Are you seeing it now? You can actually see it there. Yes, the 2 inches or 1.5, whichever one that you use. Are you seeing it? Okay, so you're not going to be measuring from the edge, rather you're going to be measuring from the part that we did not do what turn. That is what we'll be doing. If you still check the other side, that's exactly what was done on the other side. Okay, so we are going to skip these 2 inches and they measure from after the 2 inches down to the other side. That is exactly what we are going to be doing. So looking at the other side is exactly the same thing that we have here. Are you seeing it? Okay, so now let's measure from this side down to the other side. So you can see, please, while measuring this, make sure you measure it carefully. You can measure up to 3 times so as to be sure, so as not to make mistake with your color. Just like the same way we make our shirt color. Okay, I mean the same carefulness we use. Now looking at this thing, I see we are almost done. As you can see, all we have here is 15 inches. Are you seeing it? Okay, what we have here is 15 inches. So now there is a method I'm going to be teaching us. Please, this method is not common. Now, for the sake of this particular color, since we have 15 inches, we are going to be subtracting 1, making it 14 inches. Now, this one we are subtracting is enable us get this color very, very well, because the color is not straight. Now, 14 inches divided by 2. Why are we dividing it by 2? Because checking our interfacing, we actually folded it into 2. Now look at it. We actually folded our interfacing into 2. Okay, so that's why we are dividing the 14 into 2. Remember what I said? The 15 that we got, subtract 1 from it, which is 14. Then divide 14 by 2, which is 7 inches. So now make sure you mark out the length, which is 7 inches. Please use this method for every of your notch color. Okay, mark out 7 inches. Okay, now take your ruler and rule it straight. Now next thing let's also mark it out again so as to get a straight line. Now take your ruler and do rule it out. So next we'll be doing is the width of the collar. We all know that we normally use the width of collar is from 3 inches and above. So now for the sake of this particular tutorial, we make use of 3 inches with neck width. Okay, 3 inches, that is the collar width. Okay, so mark out your 3 inches. You can also mark it out into 2 times so as to get a straight line. Please, the reason why we mark this thing out 2 times is to do get a straight line by placing the rule, making sure we are getting the 2 points. Okay, guys, as you can see, we are done. So now there's this thing I need to explain to us now. Remember, our original neck circumference is 15, not the 14. We actually minus the 1 for the so that we can get this platform. So we are going back to the original 15, which is 15 divided by 2, which we are getting 7 and a half. Please, I want you to know this thing. We are going back to the original 15. We only use that 14, that is 15 minus 1, just to get this particular block you are seeing here. So now let's go back to the 15, which is 15 divided by 2 is 7 and a half. So we'll be placing, as you can see now, we'll be placing our tape now. Are you seeing it? The 7 and a half, we'll be placing it now. Now look at how we'll be placing this tape. Take that 7 and a half, place at this folded edge. Are you seeing it? Place it at this folded edge. Please, not 1. Now, as you're placing it at this folded edge, now mark it out on the 2. Okay, now let me place it again. Please, I don't want us to be confused with this particular thing now. Take your tape, make sure you place it. Use the 7 and the half. Are you seeing it? Place it at the folded edge. This is the edge that was folded. Place it. Okay. Now make sure you mark out on the 2. Please, there's a reason why I'm doing this. If you don't follow this process, it's not going to work. If you are making use of my method, as you can see, I've marked the 2. Now, some of us will be asking, why 2? Why not to the end? Because the remaining is going to be diagonal. Are you seeing it? This is the 2. Now, place your tape, making sure that it's exactly 2, reaching at the other edge. Are you seeing it? So, with this now, we've gotten the total of 15 inches. Okay, guys, after we are done forming the diagonal, next thing we are going to be doing is, please, if you like, you can actually leave it like this. Do you understand? But there's this effect I'm going to be adding, which we normally see it on our normal shirt collars. That is that sharp point. It also makes it feminine. Do you understand? Okay, now you're going to be seeing it from this particular edge. From this edge, are you seeing it? We are going to be extending it by ½ inch. Now take your ruler and make sure you do rule down. Okay. Please, I'm sorry for the phone covering this work. Okay, make sure you mark out what? Half inch. Okay, after you're done, make sure you connect from that half inch over to this very side. Please, I'm sorry for the phone, it's just my student. They're trying to cover up, they're trying to video the class. So as you guys can see, we are done with this particular one. So there's something else we are still going to do. In order for the collar to relax very well on the neck, we are going to be going in by what? Half inch from the down part. Okay, this is just the same thing we do on collars, shirt collars. Since the one on the dress is coming up, then the one on the collar should be doing what? Going in. It's just like that. Okay, so now that is what we'll be doing now. Okay, I'll be showing you guys how to do what? Effect it on the what? The collar. So let's do that. So take your tape. As you can see at this very point, make sure you mark out half inch or quarter inch depending. As you can see, I actually use what? Half inch at the very down part. Now take your rule and do what? Connect in order to form that curve. Please, this curve is necessary so that your collar will what? Relax on your neck. Okay, we are still going to do similar thing on the upper part, but this time around I'm not going to be making use of half inch, rather I'm going to be making use of what? Quarter inch. But you can also make use of half inch depending on what you really want to get on your jacket. Okay, now see it. Okay, take it and do what? Connect. So please guys, I want you to make sure you show me that you love what I'm doing by doing what? Giving me a thumbs up. Just click on that like button. I'll be very happy and I'll continue making videos for you guys.
So you need to confirm.
Okay guys, as you can see, we
are
done. Now next thing you have to do is to do what? Cross check your what? Neck measurement starting from this very point. Since we have 15 inches divided by 2 is 7.5, make sure you do what? Cross check it. You can cross check it like this or you cross check it while expanding.
Are you seeing it?
Now looking at it, as you can see, we have what? 7 and the what? Half. That means we are correct. Please cross check it many times so as not to make a mistake, because when you make mistakes on colors, it's very like frustrating.
You are going to be sewing from
now look at it. This is how we are going to be fixing it. But before we fix it, are you seeing it? Okay, this is how we're fixing it. But we are not going to be making use of the interfacing only. We are going to be using our material. We are going to be turning this. We are going to be gumming this thing on our material. Do you understand? We are going to fold the material into two, then gum this thing on one side. Then we're now going to do what? So this is how you connect it on your what? Jacket. Okay, so as you can see, I folded this material into two. As you can see, so we are cutting everything out. We are finished gumming it. And we are cutting everything out, remaining only what? Half inch on all sides. This is just the same method you use in what? Forming your what? Band, waistband, and the collars. Even normal cuff. You understand? So at this very okay, let's finish cutting it out. So cut out, remaining what? Half inch on all sides. Guys, don't forget to subscribe if you are new to this channel. Subscribe so that anytime we post video, you'll be the first to be notified. And the more you like this video, the more others get to see it, and the more YouTube gets to show you our videos anytime we post it. Okay guys, as you can see, we are done. So next thing we are going to be doing is what? We are going to be doing what? Connecting it. As you can see, this we only cut with what? One material. So we are also going to be cutting with what? Another fabric also. Are you seeing it? Exactly the same thing we cut here. That is what we are going to cut on the other fabric. So after we are done cutting it, we are now going to do what? Fold out the what? The down part of the what? The one with the what? Interfacing. We are going to fold the down part out. So let's cut it out. Remember what I said? After cutting it out, the down part, we are going to fold it out. After folding it out, we are going to use hemming gum and do what? Hold it tight. As you can see, that is what I'm actually doing now. I'm using hemming gum to hold it tight. Please, the one that we have the interfacing on, the collar gum or what? The gum stick. Anyone you want to use, you can actually make use of that. As you can see, the reason why I'm using this hemming gum is because hemming gum tends to hold it firm. Ordinarily, when you iron it, doesn't
I've done that on this
hold at all.
Now,
are you seeing it?
So,
okay. So next thing we'll be doing is what? We'll be going to the machine, we'll be sewing. So how are we going to sew? So we are
really
going
need
to be
do
sewing
what? Notch
from
out
here.
this
Are you seeing it? But
particular
first of
point. Do you
all, we are
understand?
going to take
I
our
really
scissors
need
and
to
notch
it
at
out.
this
So
very
you can
point.
notch it out
Are you
now,
seeing it? Notch
or
on both
first of all,
points,
go and sew
both the one
from
on the
here.
left or the
See
one
what?
on
See
the
how we are
what
going to
the
be sewing it.
right. Are
We're
you
going to
seeing
be
it?
sewing
And this
from
point now,
here.
look
Make
at
sure
it.
you tack it. Do you
We are
understand?
going
Make
to
sure you back
notch,
stitch
and this is
from
where our
here.
stitch is going to
Now
start
look
from.
at it. We sew
Now
in
look
from
at it.
here.
Let
Are
me
you
show you
seeing it?
guys very
Now
well.
look
Are
at
you
it.
seeing it
From
on this
here,
very
make
part?
sure you back
Okay,
stitch
that is where our
this
stitch
place,
is going to start
then
from and
down
end
to
on the
this
other
particular
part.
point. Are you seeing it?
Are you seeing
That
it?
is how you
Okay,
sew.
from this part,
Okay,
stitch is going to
but
start from
I
here
think the way
down
I'm
to
going
this
to be
very
doing this one
part.
is that
So let's do
I'll
the
first be
notching
doing
first so
what?
that we all can see
I'll
it. Because
first
when I say
notch.
it, most of us will not really do what? Understand. Make sure you also notch this very side. So we are going to be sewing from here upwards, round. Okay, so let's go to the table and do the sewing, guys. Okay, but before you do the sewing, you see you
Are
folded
you
the down
seeing it?
part. You
So that I
also
can
need
be
to
able to
fold
do
out
what?
this very part. Are
Iron
you
out
seeing
this
it? Make
particular
sure you
part.
fold out the other part also.
Then I use my
This is our
what?
hemming
Hemming
gun. We are
gun
still going
and
to
do
use
what?
it and fold it
Iron
out.
it out.
Please carefully work on your collar because your collar really makes the work come out very neat and professional. Make sure you also do the same thing on this very side.
So the guys, so like
So
I was
guys,
saying,
after we are done,
are
we are
you
going
seeing
to
it?
our
So
machine
I'll
to
be
do
sewing
what?
from here
Complete the what stitching. Are you seeing
down
it?
to
This
this
is how we
particular
are
point.
going
Then
to
after I'm
stitch
done doing that,
from
next thing I'll
here
be
down
doing
to
is
the
what?
other
I will
side.
iron it out.
Okay
No, I
guys,
will
let's
turn
go
it
to the machine
and
and do
iron.
the
So
stitching. So we on the machine, as you can see, we are actually doing the stitching. Please.
look at it.
Okay, now after you are done
See,
doing the
stitch
stitching,
it like that is the
iron it
normal way
out.
that
As
we
you can see,
usually
we are
finish
even
it.
done ironing it
To
out.
be like
Now
this.
this is how we
See?
are going to be sewing
Now
it
look at
out.
it.
Are you seeing
Like
it?
this.
Now I want to really show you guys
That's
something.
clear.
Where
Okay,
you
but that's
actually
how I
turn
do my
depends.
own.
Now we are going to be
I
turning
follow
from
the
what?
other way.
Front. No, we are going to be
Now what
turning
do I mean
from
by
back
that?
to
Now look at
front.
it.
Not from front to back, which
Like
is
this.
usual way we normally turn. Are you seeing
I
it?
fix
Look at
this
it.
way. So that when you
From
turn
back
it,
to what? Front.
are you
Now
seeing
the
it?
essence of doing this
This
thing is
neat
because
part
when we fold our
will be the
label,
one
it's going
showing.
to be showing the back
Yes, the
part,
neat
which
part
is
will be the
actually
one
where we
showing. Why
want
this
to be
part
shown.
which I'm going to
Are you
help, I'm
seeing
going
it?
to
So
sew
that is why we
will
turn
be the
from what?
part
Back to
on
what?
this particular.
Front.
Are you seeing it? Okay.
So that
So
is what
now
we are
I'm
going to be
turning.
doing
How
now.
do I say it? I'm
If you
turning
still turn from front to
back
back,
to
it's
what?
not really that
Front.
bad, but
Not
please
from
I
front
advise you
to
turn
what?
from what?
Back.
To
So
what?
that's what I'll be
Front.
doing now. This part
So
is
let's
not the
do the
most
turning
careful part.
here.
Place it. Are
Now,
you seeing
sew
it? Now
from
there's
here.
something I
Are you
really
seeing it?
did here that most of you did not
Yes.
notice.
Are you seeing
Did not
it?
notice that
So
I did
from
not
here,
sew to the end.
please just remember,
Are you
even
seeing
this
it? If you
collar, as
notice,
you are
it
sewing
say
it, you
I
don't
did
sew
not
out
sew
everything.
to
As
the
you can
end.
see, we have
I
small
left
thing. Are you
small.
seeing it? Now
This is to
I've
enable my work to
opened it more.
have a
Now you
better
sew from
finishing.
that part so as
Now
to
look
get
at
a
it.
very
Place
neat
it.
finishing.
Make sure you place it equally in a way that when you sew,
Okay, so that's what we are going
any
to be doing.
there will be no, see, this thing is not going to be
So
coming
guys,
out.
you can see
Just
this
this
dress
cotton.
is almost
Do you
ready.
understand?
So the only thing
that
we
is
need to
what
do
I'm
now
actually
is
doing
what?
here now.
Sew it out and we are done.
Okay,
You understand?
so
So
let's
I'm
go.
still going to be showing us how to do what? Do the stitching. So take it to your machine. Make sure you sew it out. Carefully sew it out. At this point, you have to be very careful, else the work will not come out very well. Please, carefully do what? Sew it out.
Finally, I know we put this one up. Okay.
Guys, you really need to have patience while sewing out
Make
this
sure you
very
follow it
thing,
carefully.
because any fashion designer that doesn't have patience, I don't know, all I can say is that this our work really needs patience. You understand? As you can see the way I am sewing it out. Okay, just look very close. Make sure you concentrate to this very point. You see how I do the stitching? Carefully. So I will stitch on this other side. Do you understand? Then before I get to the middle, I will stop. I will now start on the other side, then complete everything at the middle. That is how I personally do the stitching of colors.
Now I can now
Other
stop
people have
somewhere.
other
You
methods of
understand?
doing it,
So as to
which at
start
the end
at
of
the
the day
other
their
side
work
too.
comes out very fine.
Other
But for the
finish
sake
it.
of this tutorial, this is how I'll be doing it. As you can see, I'm done stitching it out. Are you seeing it? Okay.
You seeing it?
Guys, I'm sorry because you guys are not seeing
You
this
see-
thing, but I know you still see
you
it.
seeing it?
Okay, it's
This
from my
one now will not be
cameraman,
doing what?
somebody who
Covering
was
the other
videoing
side.
me.
Now look
I
at
think
this
my
particular
students.
side here.
Okay, are you seeing it? We are done
seeing it?
stitching at this very part. So just exactly the same thing we are going
we
to do
also
to the
do the
other
same
side.
thing on the
I've
other
told
side.
us how to do what? The stitching. We also continue from the other side, then finish everything up at the middle part. you can see. Now look at how I'll be stitching here. Be very careful while doing this very part. Are you seeing that sharp edge, that sharp side? I did not really work with that side. Are you seeing it? Okay, this is experience. I know some of us will really want to work with that part 100%, thereby our work coming out in a one kind of way, like weird way.
So as you are sewing, it will not be
Are you seeing it? Now we are going to complete everything from the center. Now, why this works this way is because of our measurement. We're actually careful with our measurement. If we weren't careful with our measurement, or if it wasn't correct, it will not come out well. You understand? One will be what more than the other one. Is either the material is more than or the other one is more than. So next thing we'll be doing now is what we'll be using our main gum to be gumming, or you can also do what tack, please. But I advise even after using your main gum, you can also do what tack. So anyone you want to use. So as you guys can see, we actually done making this jacket, lapel jacket, notch collar lapel jacket. Guys, I also have another video. This one is on what short collar. Yes, short collar. You can still check in the description box. Make sure you click on the link and watch it. So guys, if you are new to my channel, make sure you subscribe and make sure you give us a thumbs up. Thank you and may God bless you. Please make sure you give us a like. We appreciate. Bye bye.